Hi, Ben from MiRO, and today we'll be setting up TP-Link's EAP 613 using the Omada hardware controller. The Omada hardware controller comes in two primary models. The OC200 has two fast Ethernet ports and can manage up to 100 devices. The OC300 has 2 gigabit ports and can manage up to 500 devices. Let's get our controller connected to the internet and get started. Our hardware controller is powered up and it's connected to our router. The controller can either be accessed by the default IP address 192.168.0.253 or it will receive an IP address from the network. Since it's connected to our network, let's log into the router and see what IP address was given to the controller. First, I'm going to log into the router and I'm going to enter my local password. Okay, we are logged into the router and now all we have to do is go click on clients to see what device received an IP address. Over here we have the OC200 and we can see it's 192.168.0.101. Let's open a new tab. Now that we've entered the IP address, we can see that the controller is still booting up. So let's give it some time to finish. Now that the controller is booted up, we will be presented with a startup screen. Let's get started. Our administrator name, I'm going to say MiRO. I'm going to use my email address and I'm going to give it a password. There we go. I don't need the controller to access the cloud, so I'm going to disable that. And I'm going to accept the terms of use. Let's click on next. And now we would like to do a new config. So config new setup. I'm going to call this MiRO OC200 Controller and we'll select South Africa as our country and we're looking for +2. There we go. All right, let's click on next. Our site, we'll call it MiRO HQ. Again, this site is based in South Africa. And again, +2. There we go. So next you will be asked for a device account, a username and password. When an access point gets adopted to a controller, the username and password for adoption will be changed to something a bit more preferable. So we'll name it MiRO and again, a password. There we go. I'm going to select Office in this case, and we can click on Next. We don't have any devices connected to this controller at the moment, but we'll do that once we've set up the controller. So let's click on Skip. And our WAN settings. Here you can go and change WAN settings. At the moment, I'm going to leave it default, but if you'd like to change it, you can enable override. And if we scroll down to the bottom, you'll see we can now go and give it a static IP. If we don't want the DHCP coming from the router, we can do stuff like that. I'm going to disable that. I want to leave it on DHCP for now. I'm just going to click next. Here we can set up the network SSID, and remember, we're working on the MiRO HQ site. So we can call this MiRO Omada and give it a Wi-Fi password. There we go. We don't want to enable any guest Wi-Fi at the moment, so let's click on next. Okay, we are done. Click on finish. Once the controller has been set up, we will be asked to log into the controller with the new username and password that we've set up. So let's enter our username and password and log in. We'll be presented with a global overview. We can just close that global overview, and also we can see that there's a firmware update. It's always recommended to do the firmware update first and then add your devices and do the configuration. So now we can see the global view of the controller. Here we can see under organization, we have MiRO HQ, which was added as a site, or we can see the site list here, MiRO HQ. In order for us to make any changes on the MiRO HQ site, we have to launch this site. We can do it in the site list by clicking on Launch, or we can go to the organization and simply click on MiRO HQ. We will now be redirected to MiRO HQ site, and we can start making some changes. If you'd like to change the SSID, simply go to Settings, go to your wireless network, and under the WLAN, we can see we have a MiRO Omada, it's a WPA personal, and so on. If you'd like to go and change the password, you can simply just go and change the password. In our case, our SSID has already been set up, everything is ready. All we have to do is get our access point connected. So let's do that. Okay, our access point has been powered up and it's connected to our router. Let's see if the controller now automatically detects the access point. Let's go to Devices, and there we go. We can see the access point. It received an IP address from the DHCP. The status is currently pending, and all we have to do is adopt this device. So let's click on Adopt, and now the status is going to show adopting. After it's been adopted, it's going to show its provisioning. Because we've already set up the SSID and the password, the access point is automatically going to grab that info and make the Wi-Fi available. Now we can see that the status shows connected, and all we have to do is click on our Wi-Fi, scan for Wi-Fi, and let's see if MiRO Omada pops up. There we go. We can see MiRO Omada. Let's connect to it. We've successfully connected to MiRO Omada SSID. So on the left, let's go to Clients, and we can see the laptop's connected. It shows my DHCP IP address that I've received, and our internet is working. Now let's see how we mesh devices. Let's add another access point and see what happens. I've powered up another EAP613, but it only has power. There's no Ethernet. We want to see if the controller will automatically mesh these two devices once it's been powered up. Let's give it a minute. And there we go. We can see it's pending, and it has a small Wi-Fi logo to say the uplink is not wired, but the uplink is wireless. We can click on Adopt, and we can confirm. Again, it's going to show adopting, and after it's been adopted, it's going to start provisioning. Then, again, it's going to grab the SSID and the password from the controller, and both of these access points will now be on the same network, on the same SSID and password, but they are meshed wirelessly. And there we go. We can see both devices show connected, but what we'll notice is there is a difference in firmware. It's always recommended to upgrade the firmware of your devices, especially if they're meshing. And that's it. We've successfully set up our OC200 hardware controller. We've added our first access point, which is hardwired to the network, and we've added our second access point through wireless mesh. If you require any additional assistance, please send us an email to support@miro.co.za or give us a call on 012 657 0960, and we'll see you in the next one.